What did you think of this guy named Tony Vitello, who won a national championship for the Vols? Was all over the place when it came to the Major League Baseball draft. Got to see Christian Moore drafted as high as anybody in almost 50 years. And Tennessee was the face of college baseball for an entire week. How much, or entire 2 weeks, now with Tony Vitello extending that and him on TV breaking down Major League Baseball drafts, how big are these past 2 weeks for Tennessee's baseball program? And if you want to take it a step further, Tennessee's athletic department.
Oh, it's been huge for the baseball program. For those who don't know, I mean, last week they set up there and loaded up on new talent with transfers and the recruiting and on the recruiting trail and things like that. And then they go and lead everybody with players taken in the MLB draft or in the first round of the MLB draft. I mean, we're talking Billy Amick, Dylan Dreiling, I believe my mind's drawing a blank, Blake Burke, Christian Moore, that they're loading up all over the news with this. Look, it does add to relevancy for the athletic program as a whole when you see a school like Tennessee doing this. I mean, we talked about it last year. You know, Dave, when LSU won the national title in women's basketball and baseball, it came across as just a sexy program, even in a way that it could affect football, didn't it?
Yes. I think I know where you're going. So are you saying the Lady Vols did help Tennessee recruit or no?
I'm saying back in the day, they did. We know that. And I'm thinking baseball could do the same thing. Tennessee comes across as a sexy athletic program right now. And baseball helps with a guy like Tony Vitello, who's got swag, and an athletic director like Danny White, who has a ton of swag and youthful energy.
How big is swag for Tennessee's program? I think it's significant, but I'm gonna downplay it just a little bit. Okay, brought to you by Sports Treasures, carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow on Facebook for the best in sports memorabilia. Go to Facebook, follow them, Sports Treasures TN, Sports Treasures TN. Follow them, and you will get updates that are fantastic. Here, while I think that there is this young youthfulness, almost cocky, confident feel for Tennessee's athletic department, that is not the most prominent trait I believe that exists. I believe it is a positive, supportive culture. And I know you can easily say, Dave, anybody says that, especially during the early stages of a coach's career like Josh Heupel, who is entering his 4th year. You're just pumping things up to make everybody happy. No, I can tell you that I would have told you that with Butch Jones and the other guys, Bullet Head and Derek Dooley, that I had heard bad things at this point, even when things were going okay publicly. So I haven't heard any bad things about this program, including players that they were worried about maybe getting in trouble. So I don't think that's the overlying characteristic of this athletic department. Does that make sense, Caleb?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I'm not saying they're young and confident. I'm just saying that, to me, my takeaway is that they're more ultra supportive of each other.
But that says a lot, because we have a history of Tennessee that we know about where not only were they not ultra supportive of each other, but a lot of times they didn't have the ultra support of the athletic department, where, you know this, Dave, administrators were quick to cut bait if they felt that there was any drawback to a program whatsoever. And that's where I say Danny White comes in. You don't get that with Danny White. I mean, the Heupel, I'm just going to say it, the whole Heupel Nico thing with the NIL violations that came after Tennessee back in January, Dave, an old administration would have said, okay, what do you need us to do? What do you need us to do? How high do you want us to jump? Whatever. Danny White, Josh Heupel come in and say, no, F you to the NCAA. We complied with the previous investigation and did everything you wanted, and we're going to go to all-out war with you now. And that's exactly what they did. And so I think that's part of this swag that I talk about, where Tennessee Tennessee administration, and as a program in athletics in general, has no problem thumbing their nose at the establishment, putting it that way, and just full on supporting their program in general.
What will be the message that Josh Heupel tries to convey? There will be some sort of talking point. There will be something there. What do you predict might be the message that he will try to convey?
This week at SEC Media Days, you mean? Or
Yes.
is it about the athletic department as a whole?
No, I mean specifically about his football program.
Oh, he's not going to convey any message. His message will be there is no message. It's Josh Heupel. He's the anti-Tony Vitello in that way. And it's something that I think people criticize a lot, is that Josh Heupel almost does the opposite, where he just keeps things very close to the vest. But I think where people forgive it with Josh Heupel, Dave, more than because this Philip Fulmer kept things close to the vest too. But the difference is Josh Heupel has a flashy offense and a flashy system that he doesn't talk about as much, but it's fun on the field. It's not Spurrier, where Spurrier had a flashy system and then Spurrier talked, making him even more flashy. Josh Heupel just has a flashy system in general. He doesn't really talk too much about it.
All right. So should he be more outgoing? Should he be more Spurrier-like for the betterment of the program?
So should he basically be more like Tony Vitello?
Yes, Tony Vitello.
I don't think he has to be. And I know as a media guy, we kind of wish he was, but I understand why he's not. And I don't think he has to be, because I think he knows that his offensive system and the way he runs his program is naturally going to make a splash and make it flashy. And he doesn't want to add to that any more than he needs to. It's a little bit different from Lane Kiffin, who I think is actually kind of closer to Spurrier today than anybody else, because Lane Kiffin will talk. Heupel's way is, I got 55 points right now. Why don't I try to stick in this last touchdown just so I can get over 60 on you? And then he'll gaslight the rest of us to be like, I was just coaching the game. I'm just doing my job as a coach. Keep it very simple, but low key, he's absolutely demolishing you. With Josh Heupel, it's death by 1,000 cuts, isn't it?
Yes. So Morgan Wallen wins our first poll question. Second, actually, 42% say they'd like to see him in Elon Stadium, followed by Dolly Parton. 36% of the vote. Taylor Swift gets 21% of the vote. I changed it up a little bit. Josh Heupel needs to blank. Say more at SEC Media Days. Say less. Keep saying little. And it's been up there for a minute or two. Go ahead and vote on that. But right now, you're right. I don't think fans care if he says anything or not. I don't think they want him to come out and refer to the team in red like Butch Jones did, which made Alabama see red. But right now, 0 have said say more at SEC Media Days. 14% say even less. 86% say keep saying little. That's what he's going to do. We may not like it, but that's the best thing for the program, right?
Yes, it's the best thing for the program. Josh Heupel's offensive system says it all. Again, if this were Philip Fulmer or even Nick Saban or any of those old school systems that was a little more ground and pound, the system itself wasn't flashy, I'd want my coach to say more. You don't need Josh Heupel to say more. Josh Heupel's got an offense that'll drop 50 on you in a quarter. He's going to go for that one day, Dave. Josh Heupel's going for 50 and a quarter one day. And he won't say anything about it, but he's going to see if he can pull it off. I think Tennessee's record of points scored in a quarter is 35. So 2 more touchdowns, and he's there.
Well, wouldn't he have to go for 2?
One of them, yeah. You don't think he would? That's how he does it. Josh Heupel doesn't say anything. He just blatantly shows you he's going to rub it in your face when he can.
Yeah, Colton says, and I think he's probably where most fans are, I want him to say more because I want to listen to him talk, but it's so boring. He is the master. And, guys, he takes a lot of pride in being the master, Caleb, of not saying anything. I know for a fact that he has gone up to reporters and said, good luck writing something out of that. Derek says, I just want to line up and watch our team play football and let it speak for ourselves. So far, that's where the majority of the fans are. But it is fun having a Steve Spurrier who will call opposing columnists. Now, we do have a couple of votes that say more at SEC Media Days. At the end of the day, does that really matter, though, if he says more or less, Caleb?
It doesn't really matter at all. I think it's more fodder for us. I think there are schools and coaches that need to do that. Again, this comes from based on what's gone on with the baseball program. I think Tony Vitello needed to talk. Tony Vitello needed to be out there. He needed to generate that interest in Tennessee baseball, given how apathetic it was. It's just like back in 2005, Bruce Pearl had to rub fans the wrong, not fans. Bruce Pearl had to rub people the wrong way to promote Tennessee, didn't he? To just get Tennessee to a level of popularity that they weren't there before. Heupel doesn't really have to do that with Tennessee football. Now, Bruce Pearl, like Heupel, ran a unique, fun system that added to the allure of Tennessee when nobody in the SEC was doing that basketball-wise. But that alone wasn't going to be enough for Tennessee basketball. There needed to be more excitement. And so I think that's why Bruce Pearl was such a successful coach before what happened. I think Tony Vitello has to be that too. Josh Heupel, you run a successful system. You run a fun system at Tennessee. You're going to immediately just fill up the stadium and have fans ready to go to bat for you and go to war for you. And that's exactly what Heupel's doing right now.
Can you imagine for a moment if Josh Heupel was more like Tony Vitello? I mean, goodness gracious, football coach may not be big enough for him. He might just, based off events over the weekend, maybe he could become president. But he at least could become mayor or governor if he wanted to take a pay cut, Caleb. I mean, can you imagine if a guy with the success and the absolutely lovable, exciting offensive style that he has had a little bit of public sticking it to you? Fans would absolutely eat that up.
They would absolutely love it. They would. Dabo Swinney had a little bit of that, and I think it helped Clemson recruit. Remember?
He did. He had one before they won a championship where somebody asked him about Clemsoning, which was their local term for losing games that they shouldn't lose to lesser opponents. Yeah, and he went off, and the next year they won a championship. It's funny you bring that up.
Yeah. Even funnier, Spurrier was always good at quipping other programs. You notice Dabo Swinney was the only one to ever go back at Spurrier when Spurrier was in South Carolina, because Spurrier at one point said, I can't tell, we go play Clemson. I'm used to LSU, so I don't think of Clemson as Death Valley. I think of LSU as Death Valley. And then Dabo Swinney comes back, and Dabo Swinney goes, well, I don't think of South Carolina as USC. I think of Southern Cal as USC. So I don't know who we're playing when we play USC. And so Dabo was the only one to fire back like that, and it helped. I don't think Heupel needs to do that as much. I think in 2009, Tennessee really wanted somebody to fire back at Florida because there was a genuine hatred of Florida and Urban Meyer at that time, and that's what Lane Kiffin did for them. But I don't think that's as necessary anymore.
Take 1 second, hit that like and subscribe button. Why Josh Heupel's approach is perfect, I believe. Brought to you by TriStar Hats. For the latest in TriStar Hats, go to the original hats, apparel, and more. TriStarHatsCo.com. TriStarHatsCo.com, as you can wear some fantastic TriStar apparel that you'll absolutely love. I'm completely comfortable with how Josh Heupel handles the media. It does filter down to his players that I believe they're guarded, that they are guarded, and believe that they got to be careful sometimes. That, to me, is a little disappointing. I would like to see players grow a little bit more. But, Caleb, I don't have a problem with the way Josh Heupel is approaching things. I just know going into it that you're going to pick one little thing to write about. You're going to say you were there, see if any news happens. We do have a little bit of news that I want to get to. But for the most part, you're not going to see a lot of news come out of a Josh Heupel press conference.
No, you're never going to see a lot of news come out of a Heupel press conference, and he's not going to let his players give a lot of news. I think he's thinking about his players' well-being when he does that. He's trying to prepare them for the NFL, because the NFL puts on a masterclass. Oh, don't they say a lot without saying anything? And the inventor of that was Peyton Manning, by the way. You ever remember Peyton Manning press conferences? He would talk to you. He would give you thousands of quotes, and you couldn't use one of them for anything revealing. Wouldn't like one of them revealed anything a lot of times.
And I remember him one time saying to me, I asked him a question. He goes, you got to give me a little more than that. And I was like, okay. And it was about the Ben Roethlisberger. Remember when he was in a traffic accident on his motorcycle? And it was because he was really guarded and he didn't want to say anything bad about any of his cohorts out there. And Caleb, I understand that, but listen, we enjoy seeing people go viral. We enjoy people calling people out. So it's something we enjoy. So I don't think that anybody would say they wouldn't like it if Heupel was a little bit more out there. However, that being said, the last thing you want to be is Shane Beamer. Was that 2 years ago when he did the rap video and he was a laughing stock at SEC Media Days? Everybody was joking about him, and that's not what you want.
No, you don't want that at all. You don't want Shane Beamer for a lot of reasons. He makes a lot of jokes that are worth laughing at. The thing is, when you do give those quotes, yes, if you act a certain way and you're not winning, you look like a clown at that point. I mean, even Brian Kelly, all of a sudden we talked about LSU, though that weird accent and that weird dance with the recruit. We never thought anything of it at the time because he had such good success his first year at LSU. But after a drop-off, doesn't it seem like we're talking about that a lot more now, Dave, in a negative way with him, the way we weren't last year?
Yeah. Very fair point.